In episode 4, UBA is having their big rollout of their new programming. It's like the big Apple event where they release the new iPhone. Well, that's what UBA is doing. Just like Tim Cook, Corey is going to be the headlining act, and he's going to get out there and tell you why you should subscribe to UBA Plus. But really what this is pitching ad execs on why they should spend their money with UBA. There's two particular ad execs that they're targeting. Because with Paul Marks out, they need ad exec money. It's going to be on Stella to get them to lock into a deal anywhere from $200 to $300 million. If they get that, it could be the lifeline that UBA needs at the moment with no sale going through. After the event, Corey can't even get into his office yet before Alex is accosting him on a docuseries that she was planning on doing that hasn't been picked up yet. Finally, Corey breaks down and tells her, money right now is something that we don't have. Alex is pretty confused about this because she thought that they had a deal set up with Paul Marks. And Corey says, no, that deal's dead. Not after you cucked him on live TV. But if you want to help keep the lights on, we could really use you to woo some ad execs tonight. And he's bringing up tonight because that night Corey Ellison is hosting a party with a bunch of other ad execs. Those two boys from Chicago that Stella's meeting, they're not the only ones who have a checkbook and deep pockets. Corey's trying to invite some of the other ones to his house for a party that's going to be very well attended with UBA talent. UBA, though, isn't the only one looking for ad dollars and having special events for it. NBN is doing the exact same thing. Instead of a party in the Hamptons, they're having this weird skating thing. And amazingly, it's supposed to be attended by Paul Marks, who seems to have pivoted from buying UBA to buying NBN. Even though these two companies are competing, there might be one common link, Laura Peterson. Now that her and Bradley are back in the news linked together, it's kind of brought them back together in a way. Bradley calls up Laura and starts joking with her and then invites her to Corey's party later that night. Laura tells Bradley she'll try to sneak away from the NBN event, but it seems like a pretty good chance that Laura Peterson will show up. Before the party, though, there's still work to be done. Mia found out about a bombing in Mario Pool that no one is sending coverage to. She knows it's going to be a big story, and she also knows that if they can get a photographer in there to cover it, it'll be big for UBA. Problem is they need somebody to get the photographer into Mario Pool. In a stroke of good luck, Bradley had just returned there a couple months ago. So she calls Bradley down and asks, do you have anybody who could help us out? And Bradley has just the guy. The only problem is this person doesn't really speak English. Not to worry, though. Turns out Mia speaks fluent Russian. Who knew? After getting the okay from the guy that he will end up getting the photographer in there for a fee, Mia FaceTimes her freelance journalist, Andre, and tells him he's got the all clear to go in and cover the bombing. The thing is, this kind of has to be under wraps. He's got to assume all liability, and he can't say that he's working for UBA. Going into Mario Pool and covering this hospital bombing is very, very dangerous. But Andre knows the risks, and he's more than willing to take them. When she gets off the phone, Bradley starts teasing Mia because it's pretty clear that Mia has some kind of feelings for Andre. As Mia was trying to get Andre into Mario Pool, Corey was trying to keep UBA afloat. He met with two guys about a loan, a very substantial loan, and they're pretty blunt with them. They need ad commitment before they write this massive check. That's why it's so important that Corey end up getting some commitments from his Hamptons party, but also that Stella locked down the two brothers from Chicago. If they can pull together $300 million, then this other company will cut them a loan, and they'll be able to save UBA for the time being. The next 24 hours are critical for Corey and UBA. Stella is certainly doing her part. These two brothers are the biggest douchebags you have ever come across. They're the kind of guys that watched Wolf of Wall Street and weren't entertained, but instead were inspired. Yeah, sure, they have concerns about UBA, but they're more interested in just getting drunk and making Stella jump through hoops to get their money. But it's not just Stella they're affecting. It's also the bartender / waitress that they're dealing with. The meeting gets to a point where the brothers offer Stella $150K per primetime spot if Stella can get the waitress to lap up a drink that's spilled on the table. Instead of walking away right there, Stella gets the offer to $200,000 and the waitress will get a $20,000 tip for just licking up a drink off a table. But it's pretty demoralizing. I think anybody's licking up a drink for $20K, so the waitress gets that tongue on the table, but it's just something that does not sit well with Stella, and she knows that she had to do it, but she's sick to her stomach about it. When she leaves the two brothers and goes off to the Hamptons, she's not feeling too good about the person she is. Either way, she texts Corey to let him know that the deal is closed, and then Corey texts the person with the loan that he's got the funding. This is great news for Corey, who's in the middle of his party, hosting talent from UBA, even though they're not thrilled about being there. Like, Chris Hunter doesn't want to be there at all. She's actually spent the majority of the party talking to the new board chairman, Leonard, and hammering him on the pay inequality, which Leonard doesn't really have a great answer for. He kind of just toes the typical company line while trying to evade questioning. It's pretty clear to Chris, Leonard ain't committing to giving anybody a raise at this time. Bradley, though, also shows up, and she's not as miserable as Chris until she's instructed to go around and start talking to some of these ad execs, and let's just say the conversation lacks any substance at all. Bradley, though, is fortunately saved by Laura, who shows up just in the nick of time and can realize that Bradley is drowning in boredom. Bradley's pretty surprised that Laura showed up, but she's also thrilled that Laura showed up. They decide to walk around Corey's place, which, by the way, is massive, and explore it while getting away from these suits. They find Corey's bedroom, they start making fun of the decor, but then the conversation turns serious because the hackers for UBA posted everything except one thing, and it was the video. Bradley assumes that Corey just paid the hackers to bury it. The conversation, however, gets a little bit awkward when Laura makes a joke that Bradley doesn't find funny, and let's just say there's still work to be done in this relationship and the whole mending process. They head downstairs to the party, and late that night, Mia finally hears from Andre. She's been stressed out all day because she hasn't heard from him, but he's made it to the hospital, and it's worse than they thought. He's still basically in a war zone. I mean, it's not like he's going to take pictures and leave. It's still in the process of being bombed. All he cares about is that Mia get the pictures he sent out to the public so they know what's going on. And all she cares about is him getting back safely. As Mia is heading back into the party after talking to Andre, so is Stella, who has just arrived, still shell-shocked at what she was able to do. When she goes inside, Corey tries to convince her that even though it might have been tough, she just saved a bunch of people's jobs. Now it's just a formality because all they have to do is sign the loan agreement, and they're good to go. UBA lives on to fight another day. As Corey is saying this, he's also surveilling the guests at the party, and he sees a familiar face that he doesn't want there. It's Fred Micklin. He walks over to Fred, and before he kicks him out, he starts passive-aggressively insulting him, reveling in the fact that Fred doesn't have a job. But Fred reveals to Corey that he does, in fact, have a job. He's been consulting with Sloan, the same people that are giving Corey the loan. If Corey wants money, he's going to have to get Fred's approval. This cold reality hits Corey like a freight train. He puts his tail between his legs and he just goes back into the house. He goes to find Stella and update her on the predicament they find themselves in. He's played out the scenarios in his head at this point. If they take this loan, it's only a matter of time before Maggie Brenner and the rest of the tabloids figure out that Fred Micklin is still taking part in UBA. At that point, they're going to be done. He has no idea what he's going to do. And then he gets a lifeline. Because everybody at the party hears a helicopter. And UBA's biggest star arrives via that helicopter. It's Alex Levy. She's late to the party because she was busy spending the entire day with Paul Marks, trying to get him back to Corey and save the deal. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.